The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and quiet desperation as Anna sat alone in the blood donation chair, her slender arm stretched out while dark red blood slowly flowed into the hanging bag, her eyes fixed on it as if her thoughts were traveling with every drop leaving her body, because this blood was not just blood, it was hope for a stranger she had never met, a man brought in after a brutal car accident, unconscious, critical, and with a rare blood type that the hospital was struggling to find in time. Anna was only 24, a junior nurse working double shifts to pay rent and keep her life from collapsing after losing both her parents years ago, and donating blood after a night shift was the last thing her exhausted body wanted, yet her heart refused to ignore the quiet voice inside her whispering that someone's child might lose their father today if she walked away, so she stayed, even when dizziness crept in and her fingers trembled, because compassion had always been her strength in a world that rarely showed her any kindness back. Behind a glass wall, machines beeped steadily around the patient's bed where a tall, broad-shouldered man lay motionless, his face bruised yet strangely calm, his phone locked away in a plastic bag holding unanswered calls and messages from a babysitter asking when he would be home because his 6-year-old son refused to sleep without him, unaware that the man lying there, Ethan Cross, was the CEO of a billion-dollar tech empire, a self-made millionaire who had lost his wife to illness and built walls of wealth and discipline around his heart just to survive raising his son alone. Anna didn't know his name, didn't know his status, didn't even see his face clearly, she only knew that he needed blood, and that was enough for her, so when the doctor thanked her briefly and rushed away, she smiled weakly, finished the donation, and quietly returned to her duties without expecting gratitude, reward, or recognition, because she had learned long ago that kindness often goes unnoticed, yet fate was already turning its gears. Hours later, as dawn painted the hospital windows gold, Ethan's condition stabilized, his vitals improved, and the doctor spoke the words that sounded like a miracle. The transfusion saved him, and when Ethan finally opened his eyes, the first thing he felt was not pain but an overwhelming sense of having been pulled back from the edge, a strange calm washing over him as if someone had fought for him while he was gone. Days passed, and while Ethan recovered, he asked a question that no one expected from a man of his power: who donated the blood? But hospital policy kept Anna anonymous, even as Ethan insisted, because something about surviving made him reflect on how fragile his perfectly controlled life truly was, how close his son had come to growing up without a father, and how a stranger's selfless act had changed everything. Meanwhile, Anna returned to her small apartment, collapsing onto a worn sofa, unaware that her simple choice had set in motion events far bigger than her own struggles, because soon Ethan would discover the truth. And when their paths crossed again, it would not be in a hospital room or through an 4-line, but in a moment that would test pride, class, trust, and the meaning of real wealth, one measured not in money, but in heart. And if you're still reading this story and want to see how a single act of kindness can rewrite 2 lives forever, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now, because the next part will reveal how fate brings them face to face, how secrets unravel, and how love, sacrifice, and destiny collide in ways no amount of money could ever control.